The morning mist clung to the forested hills as 7-year-old Liam Carter bounded out the back door of his family's cabin, his bare feet slapping against the wooden porch. Close behind trotted Rex, a Belgian Malinois whose muzzle had begun to silver with age but whose movements still carried the precision of his working days. The boy's laughter rang through the damp air as he sprinted toward the meadow, arms outstretched like an airplane. Rex kept pace just a step behind, ears flicking at every rustle in the underbrush. His body bore the marks of years in service, a jagged scar along one flank, a stiffness in his left hip when the weather turned cold, but around Liam, he moved with an energy that defied his years. He'd been there since the day the boy came home from the hospital, trained and raised by Liam's father, a former search and rescue handler. When the man died suddenly in a training accident 2 winters back, Rex had become more than a pet. He was Liam's protector, his shadow, the steady presence that filled the silence left behind. From the kitchen window, Sarah Carter wiped her hands on a dish towel and watched them, her chest tightening with the familiar ache of loss and gratitude. Mornings like this, simple, ordinary mornings, still caught her off guard with their quiet beauty. She didn't know it would be the last peaceful moment before everything changed. The storms had rolled in days ago, relentless sheets of rain turning the creek behind their property into a snarling beast. The ground squelched underfoot, the air thick with the scent of wet soil and pine. Liam, oblivious to the danger, had begged to go outside, already shrugging into his oversized blue raincoat and mismatched boots. Rex hesitated at the threshold, his muscles tense, but the boy's pleading grin was impossible to resist. They'd played near the tree line at first, Liam splashing through puddles while Rex circled nearby, alert. Then the boy had wandered too close to the water's edge, mesmerized by the churning current. Rex's warning bark came too late. 1 second, Liam was crouching on the bank, poking at the foam with a stick. The next, the earth crumbled beneath him. His scream was swallowed by the roar of the water as the river snatched him away. Rex didn't think. He lunged. The cold stole his breath, the current dragging him under, but he fought his way back to the surface, eyes locked on the flash of blue fabric ahead. His teeth closed around the hood of Liam's coat, and he kicked hard, muscles burning as he dragged the boy toward a half-submerged boulder. Somehow he hauled Liam onto the rock. The child wasn't moving, his lips tinged blue, his skin pale as wax. Rex stood over him, trembling, blood seeping from a gash on his hind leg. He nudged Liam's cheek, whining, but the boy didn't stir. The river raged around them. No one was coming. With a last look at Liam, Rex plunged back into the water. The trail was slick with mud, the rain still falling in sheets. Daniel Hayes adjusted the strap of his rucksack and kept walking. He'd chosen solitude after the fire that took his son, burying himself in the wilderness where the memories couldn't find him. Then he heard the barking. Not the mindless yapping of a stray, but something urgent, desperate. He turned just as a mud-streaked Belgian Malinois staggered into view, one leg dragging, eyes wild with purpose. The dog didn't growl, didn't cower. He met Daniel's gaze, whined, and took 3 limping steps back the way he'd come. Daniel followed without a word. The river's roar grew louder. Then he saw it, a small figure curled on a rock mid-current, motionless. Daniel's blood turned to ice. He moved on instinct, looping his rope around a sturdy oak before wading into the torrent. The water clawed at him, but he fought his way to the boulder, his hands closing around Liam's limp body. Rex watched from the shore, swaying on his feet as Daniel hauled the boy to safety. The hospital lights buzzed overhead as the nurses wheeled Liam away, Rex limping stubbornly behind. He collapsed outside the treatment room, his breath ragged, but his eyes never left the door. Daniel sat nearby, dripping onto the linoleum, his mind racing. He didn't know these people. Didn't know their story. But when Sarah Carter burst through the emergency room doors, her face streaked with tears, something inside him cracked open. She fell to her knees beside Liam's bed, her hands shaking as she touched his face. "He's alive," Daniel said quietly. Sarah turned to him, then to Rex, her voice breaking. "You brought him back." Daniel shook his head. "Not me. That dog." Rex lifted his muzzle at the sound of her voice, his tail thumping weakly against the floor. Then from the bed came a whisper. "Rex." The dog's ears pricked. Sarah sobbed. Daniel exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. In the weeks that followed, Daniel kept visiting. First out of obligation, then because he couldn't stay away. Liam recovered quickly, his laughter soon filling the cabin again, Rex always at his heels. Sarah started setting an extra plate at dinner without asking. One evening as the sun dipped below the trees, Liam curled against Daniel's side on the porch steps, Rex stretched across their feet. Rex saved us, the boy murmured, sleepy. Daniel ruffled his hair, his eyes meeting Sarah's over the child's head. Yeah, he said softly. I think he did.